to have not your own business, but a ministry business. Now there's a difference. You know what's a ministry business? A ministry business is a business that is helping prepare people to stand true to God when judgment shifts from the dead to the living. Does that include publishing house? Does that include a sanitarium? Does that include a hygienic restaurant, food factory, treatment room? What I'm saying is this. There are many things that can be a ministry business. What I'm saying, every family will have to pray and ask God, Lord, what ministry business do you want us to have? And then when that is done, when God shows you what is the business, ministry business that he wants you to have, then you should prayerfully ask God for a name. You say, I'm making this up. No, I'm not making this up. She says, arouse your associates to work under some name, whereby they may be organized to cooperate in harmonious action. So what must a ministry business have? It must have a name. It must have a name. Must have a name. Number one, relationship with Jesus. Number two, set the house in order. If it's truly coming in order, it must have a ministry. And then eventually you pray and ask God, Lord, what is the business that we can establish that will advance the work? Question, did Jesus have a ministry business? Jesus said in Luke 2, I must be about my what? Father's business. He says, I came not to be ministered unto, but to minister. So he had a business, and it was not just an ordinary business, it was a business that was ministered unto someone, unto people. So that means we must have a ministry business, as Jesus had. So that means relationship sets our house in order. When it looks like heaven, there must be a ministry. Angels minister. And then we must have a business. Will the business help us get out of debt? Will help us get out of debt. But will. It will. I want us to see. There's my quotation. She says, listen, friends. Is it possible to have a business, but it's not a ministry business? If it's not a ministry business, that will not finish the work. And that is not a part of God's system, plan, not a part of his plan. She says, no scheme of business. This is education again. What two books have we been reading about as we're speaking about this blueprint? To Education and Adventist Home. So if you're going to understand about the system, by the way, if you're going to set your house in order, what book must you read? As a family, you'll have to read the book Adventist Home. There's no setting your house in order without reading and studying this book. It must be studied in connection with it. Especially if you're going to start your own business, must be the book what? Education. Those are the books must be studied. It says here, no scheme of business or plan of life can be sound or complete that embraces only the brief years of this present life and makes no provision for the unending future. So if your business is just about making money to survive in this world, she says that is not a part of God's plan. It must reach into eternity. How can it reach into eternity? By preparing people for heaven. It must be a business that prepares people for heaven. Now, we showed you this. The very highest kind of education that can be given is to shun the incurring of what? Debt. As you should shun what? Disease. Now, what is it that God says that if we have, it will help us shun debt? They must establish business firms, should be established, that they would not have to borrow from their neighbors, but that their neighbors would borrow from them. Friends, I conclude, yeah? Sure. I have to read this one and we close. A good Adventist Home. I want you to see, friends, if you fail to understand how to use money, highest form of education, you will be bankrupt for eternity. The Lord has been pleased to present before me the evils which result from the spendthrift habits. You know what spendthrift habits? Just spending. Spendthrift habits. That I might admonish parents to teach their children strict economy. Teach them that money spent for that which they do not need is perverted from its proper use. By the way, in this book, Adventist Home, she says, teach the children not to spend their money on knickknacks. Now, obviously, no knickknacks, there's different chips. Don't spend, she says, teach them that she actually says there should be a box. And it should be written there, offering unto the Lord. And every time they're tempted to spend that 5 rand, that 2 rand, that 3 rand, that whatever, they should realize there's a cause that needs help. And they should sacrifice that perverted, whatever they wanted to buy, and put that money. She says God will look approvingly upon the children if they do that. That's why you have to study the book Adventist Home. Impossible to have this system without Adventist Home and education, not going to work. Must be studied with your Bible proverbs. It says, where did I stop? Blue words. She says, unless, and actually it's before the blue words, it says, if you have extravagant habits, cut them away from your life at once. Unless you do this, you will be bankrupt for eternity. Are you seeing how serious this thing is? The way you use money can determine whether you lost or saved. Habits of economy, industry, sobriety, or better portion for your children than a rich dowry. Continues, let us not spend our means in gratifying desires that God would have us repress. Let us fitly represent our faith by restricting our wants. Let us restrict them, beloved. Watch this, friends. Watch. It says here, she says, many poor families are poor because they spend their money as soon as they receive it. You must see that one should not manage his affairs in a way that will incur debt. I told you it's a sin. Inspiration says in the book Adventist Home, for your money to be spent before you get paid. God calls it a sin. It says, when one becomes involved in debt, he is in one of Satan's nets, which he sets for souls. Does that Bible? Psalms 37. It says, the wicked borrow and they pay not again. God says you are wicked. Abstracting and using money for any purpose before it is earned is a snare. It's a snare, beloved. I'm not going to repeat this. I'm not going to repeat that. We're not repeating these things. I conclude here. We told you the foundation that sets up. It says here, this foundation, what month is this foundation going to be operating from? Is this a bell indicating our high priest is making movements? It's on the anniversary month. It says, what the encyclical, friends, you must understand what this means. We conclude here, but you need to understand what this means. It says, with the encyclical and the words, an example of St. Francis of Assisi serving as